All right, we are recording. Thank you, Chris, for the tech support and for welcoming and also for reading out that very fancy session title, which is today Finding New Pathways of Collaborating for Sustainable Wikidata Software Development. I tried to make it as intriguing and mysterious as possible to lure in a lot of participants for today. This session is going to have a little bit of input from my side, but will be what I hope to have is a discussion and a lot of input from your side. And we'll see how this will go later on. This is my very first WikidataCon session ever. So I'm quite excited to be here. Thank you all for coming and thank you all for having me. I've been on Wikimanias and like Arctic Knots and German-speaking Wikicons, but first time for WikidataCon. When I'm talking about me, I'm Maria, as you can see on that very well-constructed slide and on my handle. I've been with Wikimedia Deutschland for 5 years, for quite some time now. I'm actually having my 5-year anniversary in 2 weeks' time. Most of this time I've been with the volunteer support team, making volunteers projects like a reality, supporting local hubs in Germany and a lot of other stuff. But more recently, I've been more involved with the software development team, doing some projects around Wikidata, a little bit of Wikibase. And the kind of projects that I'm doing are like with external partners, sometimes with funding, doing project plans and this kind of stuff. You have my email address here. I have a user page on Meta as well. And let's dive into what I'm planning on talking about today. The starting point for this talk is going to be the Wikimedia movement strategy, which I assume none of you was able to not hear about in the past years. We all probably read one thing or the other about it. It's a lot of content. It's a lot of output that was produced in this process. And this strategy includes a lot of a few recommendations. Some of them are equity in decision-making, investment in skills and leadership development, or sustainability of our movement. This sounds quite good in my ears and probably in like many other ears, but we have to ask ourselves what this actually means. So we do have a little bit more explanation now with more and more content that we're getting around the strategy. So it might mean that we enable the empowerment of local communities, that we want financial sustainability for groups and like parts of the movement, apart from like the big players that are already around, that we want skill development in local communities. But still, what I'm asking and we are asking, and maybe some other people are asking themselves, is what does that mean in our like daily businesses, in the projects that we're starting and the things that maybe we want to be doing differently than before. Then we might see a challenge in like our movement. First of all, Wikidata is growing and growing. That's not the challenge. This is awesome. This is the highlight. It's growing both in content and in contributors. But as we heard yesterday in like the opening keynotes from Erika, from a lot of studies, from a lot of talks in our movement, a lot of times we're missing out on perspectives of people from many parts of the world. And in a more general sense, the tech sector and software development, which is being done today, is often missing a certain gender and geographical diversity in the people who are actually doing this software. And with this challenge, we are also kind of asking ourselves how to go forward and what to change about this and what we can do about this. So the idea that we have come up with was, in order to make our movement more sustainable, to keep Wikidata as awesome as it is right now and make it more awesome, keep it a high quality knowledge base, and do all of this that the strategy is like not asking us to do, but what the strategy is giving us a direction to do, like empowering local communities, do skill development and like leadership development around the world in our movement. We thought we want to start sharing software development for Wikidata with a movement partner. This still sounds like a very broad idea. So let me maybe say a few words about what that could actually look like. Wikimedia Deutschland has received a grant from the Arcadia Foundation, which is a UK-based foundation that is funding a lot of programs and projects about preserving cultures, preserving nature, but also enabling and like empowering open access infrastructure. And this grant is supposed to be used, or like the purpose of the grant is so that there will be another movement partner, movement group, that is able to contribute to the software development of Wikidata. And if everything turns out the way we want it to turn out, this is not just going to be a project, but it will lead to a software collaboration that is sustainable and scalable. So this will be a prototype, and this is something that we start and like try out. But we do hope that this will create a lot of learning and a lot of maybe some kind of blueprint on how this can work for our movement in the future. The process that we can imagine doing this, or also the process how we what we communicated to the funders, is that for the first year, we want to focus and concentrate on finding a movement partner in a movement group that wants to commit to such a partnership in the forthcoming years, and establish that kind of partnership first, which means very basic things, such as how do we get money from there to there? How do we communicate together? What kind of environment do we have to learn about Wikidata software development together? What kind of processes and how to make decisions together? To then move on in the second year to learn about that part of Wikidata that is going to be part of this collaboration and the development we want to do around this. To then, in the last year, like connect to Wikidata and Wikibase, but also, like I said before, find ways and make sure how this hopefully does not end in the year 2024, but how this could possibly be something that lives on and that makes our movement richer, better. So the first steps, as I was saying, that we want to empower local communities and local groups. We see languages and like the lexicographical data part of Wikidata as a very good starting point to start doing such a collaboration. Languages, like when they're used, are like a highly localized concept that software development around this might best be placed with those local communities that are speaking or like are part of language communities with small languages, under-resourced languages, minority languages, whatever you want to call it, and that the software that is supposed to work for those languages might just be developed by or like in the context of those groups. So this has been like the grand, getting smaller and smaller idea pathway that I walked through with you. And what is happening right now is that we are trying to understand the processes, potentials, ideas, expectations for such a partnership and such a project better, which means that we are conducting conversations, interviews, consultations with people that can give us input on like the main themes that we foresee for such a project, which is like partnerships in general, partnerships between groups and formalized partnerships and stuff like that, Wikidata development in general, then languages and lexicographical data, like if we take this as a first step, but also on shared software development, like how does that even work? Which basically brings me to why I'm here today, because you people are exactly the people we need the input from and that we need consulting from on this project. So what I did today, I brought a few questions for us to discuss about and for you to give your perspective on what needs to be considered and like what is going to be super helpful for such a partnership. I have prepared a Etherpad that I think was posted already quite a few times in here. And I would hope that we can have a discussion in this Etherpad first and foremost, because I know from my experience, it can be a little bit overwhelming to like open up your mic and speak in front of 30 people about your opinion on such a thing, which means I have planned for us to do more of a silent discussion first. And I'm going to take you, hopefully with my shared screen, to this Etherpad. Yes. Which I'm also going to post again in the chat. And for all of you to like come to this and first do your check-in and maybe get used to it and like how to write and how to discuss in there. And then if you scroll down in the Etherpad, there's a lot of space for your contributions, for your perspectives, where you can leave your comments and your thoughts on such a change of how our movement works and how Wikidata software development might work. And other than this, I'm also happy to take anything from the chat. I'm also very happy if anyone wants to open their mic and let us know what they think about this. I also brought 3 main questions in case you need like a Kickstarter to to kind of get the ball rolling and the thoughts flowing. Yeah, and if we're finished with that, or if you feel like you were able to leave your opinion here, I will go back to the presentation. I will, first of all, I will summarize and answer the questions in the Etherpad and also give my perspective on this. And then in the end, I'm going to go back to the presentation and just leave a few, give some, other.
Hi, Maria.
Hello, who's there? Yeah.
So I'm Benedict.
Hi.
So very nice work you're doing so far. I guess my question, I don't know if it's more on, we have a very young community, which I sort of like built around Wikidata, IG Wikidata Hub. So the community is actually started off creating, basically creating awareness around Wikidata and getting people to start editing Wikidata or whatnot. So hearing this now, I'm wondering if if there is a possible collaboration there that my young community could do, knowing that most of the people in the community are not software developers. So is there any room for collaboration there?
Right. So I think yes. And we're like we're not expecting at the moment that we are like finding a movement partner who already has a lot of experience around software development, or who already has developers on their team maybe, or who's doing specific things. Like all of this can be very helpful for the movement group, and like for whoever like commits to doing this project with us. But nothing is set in stone, so we're kind of still looking for the decision helper, or like the pathways on doing this. So this might be a very big group that we start this collaboration with, or a very small group, or someone who has been doing a lot of about languages or not, or about Wikidata, or who has knowledge in partnerships. All of this is still open, and also really depends on the kind of groups that show interest or that want to commit to this. I don't know if that answers your questions, or if you were wondering more about like another collaboration that Wikimedia Deutschland could be doing.
Yeah, I think in a way it does answer my question, because like I said, it's relatively new, and I'm looking at how we could be more impactful in the movement. So my coming to Wikidata conference, this actually is my first Wikidata conference also, is to see, yeah, is to see how to gain collaborations to be more impactful. So far we've been doing series of editathons, adding content, Nigerian content on Wikidata, but I kind of like feel we could do more. And so seeing your session now, and I'm like, okay, how do we get involved? How can this young community be part of this movement? So that's just what I've been checking. So, and now hearing your response to that, I'm wondering, okay, how would the community indicate their interest on the collaboration?
Yeah, that's a very valid question. First of all, in the Etherpad, there is like in the very last part of the Etherpad, there's a space for kind of leaving your comment on who should be approached about this. Also, if you have interest in talking to us about this, you can just leave your name there. At the end of the session, I will also have another little like advertisement block about if you want to talk about this more, if you're interested, if you're like a community leader or a group who wants to show their interest, to contact me and talk about this. We also have a project page on Meta where we can discuss on talk pages. So there's no one specific way to leave your interest. You can leave it here, you can leave it with me, you can leave it on the talk page. But again, the links to this will be in the at the end of the session. But it's very good to hear already that the people to start being interested in this. I can also say a little bit more maybe about the grant itself and how it is envisioned to happen at the moment. So the grant was funneled to Wikimedia Deutschland with the intent of using that grant to build up infrastructure also at the movement partner. But that really much depends on what like the basis of the movement group is, right? So how much software developers you might need to hire, or if you have all the equipment to do this, just like very basic stuff, and like to build up that infrastructure. That's what the grant is also supposed to be used. Do we have anyone else who awesome, thanks. who wants to raise their hand or just open their mic. Otherwise, I'm going to see if there are any questions or comments in the EPUB pad yet. The first one, what kind of questions do you have until now? There's one, are there known constraints for whom might be a partner? That is exactly what we are working on at the moment. There are, I think, very, let's say, practical constraints maybe, from who can we like send money to. There are, I think, very few countries where it would be very hard to funnel some funds to, but other than that, maybe not. And other known constraints are, or like the constraints is what we are trying to find out. And this is what, like, what I'm also here about, to hear who, or like what is going to be important about such a collaboration, and what our vision on how this partnership would look like is, I don't know, does that answer the question from whoever asked it? If not, I'm happy to elaborate more. There's a comment on question number 1, which is, what are your hopes for Wikidata and the Lex data part looks like in the future? I am confused why you are planning to start with lexicographical data and not other aspects of Wikidata development. Could you please clarify? Yeah, I was hoping to kind of make that journey through with the presentation, that we just see lexicographical data and like language software, language technologies as a like kind of a very good start for software development and collaboration with local communities, and maybe communities that are that are not like rooted in English or German or something like this. And we already have like such a good starting point in Wikidata, and we all like, since trying to introduce it, this has been a big part of lexicographical data to make a difference for small and under-resourced languages. That we see that as a good place to start, which doesn't mean that in the future this will be the only point that will be worked on. If everything goes well, hopefully we will have made a change that will be, or that will change our movement far more than the lexicographical data part in Wikidata. That makes sense. We also have a comment on how the future partner in this collaboration could or should look like. I mean, this could be anything, right? You could leave your, what you think, what kind of attitudes and what kind of experiences, or how this group or where that group should be located, or what kind of communities should be attached to it, or like be in the background of that partner. Until now, we have the comment that I'm not sure what that means, if if we should do that with a movement group that is a private company. Maybe the person who typed it can elaborate a little bit more, so that I know. So that I know what they mean. And then for question number 3, we also still have we already have a comment about what language communities can benefit from such a collaboration, and how we can make sure they will benefit, which I think is a crucial aspect of this partnership. The Arabic community needs this, and we can follow the evolution by facilitator. Yeah, I've actually read that there has been a publication about like the hub building in the Arabic language community, which I have read with a lot of interest, to see that a lot of people are thinking and formatting around this area in our movement. But what I'm also interested in is your perspective and your views on how we can make sure they will benefit, and how this will not just be a project that ends in like 3 years' times and may or may not have made some improvements to Wikidata, but how this can be something that, yeah, lasts longer than this grant or this project structure. All right. Yes, answered. Awesome. Thank you. Then there's another question in the chat. Is there a link to the presentation? Yes, I'm going to upload it on comment after the conference today. I have another session after this, and I'm going to post it in the menuless environment. So I would love to hear more from everyone who's here and from everyone's who's in the chat. Also, if you know anyone that we should definitely start talking to, that are going to be crucial and that can give like input, or groups that might be interested in such a collaboration, I'm like a sponge, just waiting for your input pouring over me. Seems like a bit of a weird metaphor. I mean, if not, that's also fine. And like I said, I'm gonna plug my pluggables in the end, and would be amazed and very happy if a few people would reach out to me also after the WikidataCon.
Hi, Maria again. It might seem as though I missed some of the presentation when you probably mentioned when you intending to start the project. So I don't know. Do you help with that?
I did bring the rough process of the project, but I also brought something more detailed. So that, yeah, basically it's starting now. Like we're starting to talk to people, and we're starting the outreach so people can approach us. So this is all happening as we speak, and like this is the first time, like the WikidataCon. I wanted to kind of like announce that also to a bigger audience. It has been communicated on the mailing list before as well, and like trying to find a partner to do this with. This is what is happening now. The whole software like development and everything, this is like planned for the next 2 years, let's say end of next year, to like actually start doing things after setting up the infrastructure. But yeah, like I said, I also brought just a very boring project plan where we are hoping to maybe have found someone who wants to commit to this partnership in summer next year. That would be awesome. Let me go back. Yes. All righty. If there's not something I have missed. Oh, yes, we have a new comment in the Etherpad. Nice. Which was posted in answer to the question of what the future partner might look like in such a collaboration. The comment is, I think it is very important that this partnership is connected to a strategy of shared governance for Wikidata, to move away from centralizing everything in Berlin. I wonder how the collaboration with Brazil went this year for WikidataCon. Is this a long-term collaboration? I think the last question is referring to the collaboration of the WikidataCon organization with Brazil, which I'm afraid I can't answer, but I do agree that this is this needs to be grounded in a understanding of sharing responsibility and not just finding someone who is, let me just break it down and say it very simple, who's just doing whatever we want them to do, what we tell them to do. This is not the goal of this project or of this partnership. Just to make that clear with easy words. For the collaboration and the partnership with Brazil, I do see that Leah is in here in the chat who might be able to say something about this. And yes, who I see is typing. So let's see. Yeah, Francisca comments is still referring, I think, to the shared governance for Wikidata, which is making the point again that I was trying to do. This is supposed to create a shared responsibility and capability to build Wikidata software together, and not just have that centered in Berlin. Referring or answering the question of the collaboration with Brazil around the WikidataCon, Leah writes, short attempt of answer, the collaboration with Wikimedia Brazil to organize the WikidataCon together was great. We should definitely do more of these, and we will, of course, stay in touch for future projects. Yes, and this has kind of led us to the idea to do more of those collaboration and partnerships. Francisca comments that we agree with the point that the software in its architecture reflects the people and use cases it is built for. Exactly. Okay, just to summarize the chat. That we are interested in doing new partnerships with other organizations, having more of a network of organizations that are working together on different, like on Wikidata and different aspects of Wikidata. Might it be community building with like conferences, or might it be onboarding, or might it be actual software development? Okay, we do have a question from Leah, who asked, maybe you can, if I can tell us more about how I think this collaboration between Wikimedia and the other organization would work. Will there be training, onboarding? What would the governance look like? That is a very good question. And maybe I start with the easier answer. Will there be training and onboarding? I mean, if there will be no learning environment for the people that are part of this partnership, I don't think this is going to work. So yes, there will be, or there should be a training environment, a learning environment where we can share the knowledge that has been inside of Wikimedia Deutschland, inside of Berlin for the past couple of years, where this should be shared with the movement partner that we're working with. Anything more specific is, in my opinion, should be discussed and kind of set up with whichever movement partner or like whatever movement partner wants to commit to this. Like especially after hearing the keynotes yesterday from the WikidataCon, I think it is important to also make shared decisions on how the infrastructure and how the frameworks of such partnerships should look like. So there are some things that we kind of have to do, which is a lot of times when money is involved, reporting and like invoices and monitoring and documentation and this kind of stuff. But if we do want to have like a shared environment and actually like give up some of the power that we have, we will have to make like those decisions together, or at least discuss it together before setting anything in stone. Franziska is also adding on the training, learning, and onboarding part that it will, yeah, exactly, very much depend on what the movement partner brings or already knows, or what kind of stuff they've been doing in the past, is where, like, in what kind of topics they have expertise that we will have to learn about, and yeah, to kind of build and learn that together. I hope this was what Leah was aiming the questions at. I have more. Okay, shoot, Leah. I think we have like 10 more minutes, and I only have 2 more slides to plug my pluggables. And yes, Benedict, let's talk after the conference. Yay. Leah's asking, do you think that the partner organization should already have previous expertise in software development, or could they start from scratch? I imagine it's going to be very, maybe harder to start from scratch, but like this is not a decision that has been made. But I mean, you ask if I think the partner organization should already have previous expertise. I don't think it's a deal breaker. But I don't think we're far enough to say what are deal breakers or not. Like, this is my opinion, who's collecting all the input at the moment. Oh my God, that's such a vague answer. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't think we're at the point where this has been decided or anything, because we're still at the point where we are collecting what people think if they should have previous experience in software development. And also Leah, yes, Leah is posting a reminder if groups are interested, what are the next steps for them? Should they get in touch with you? That is a very good point to show my last slides. Yeah, the next steps that, at least for this very not so long year anymore, is that we are continuing those consultations, discussions, and conversations that we are having now, but that we are also having one-on-one, that we will start and continue talking to interested groups and affiliates, and that we will also boil down all the input that we are trying to get to a overview of things that help us make a decision for this partnership. And yes, everyone who's interested in this project should definitely get in touch with me. Not just if you're like interested in such a partnership, but also if you have anything that we should definitely like not forget about, like some kind of report or some kind of thing that you will consider crucial for us to know and to read about. You can reach out to me via my email address, but you can also just happily post on the project page on Meta, which is all fresh and new, where the project page is called Software Collaboration for Wikidata. Yeah, you can also post on my user page on Meta. All of this will reach me. And I'm very happy to like keep talking to people and to learn like more about what the future can bring for our movement. I think this is a really good step in the right direction, and this is like a yes, I can post. Sorry, this is a good step in the direction that we've heard about in the keynotes yesterday. Benedict asked if we can get a link to the project page, and Leah is helpful as ever, already posted it. Thank you, Leah. But then again, because there is that we are still in the process of kind of setting the framework for this project. The project page doesn't say that much. So I'm happy for anyone who gives input on the talk page or lets a comment or asks a question there. I will also upload this presentation on the project page, so you can check it out there. There's a question if we can activate the translate on Meta. I think probably yes, so I will look into it. All right. If no one has any more words of wisdom for me now, I'm happy to say thank you for everyone who was here and like kind of heard about this the first time, who left their comments in the chat, who left the questions in the Etherpad. I'm happy about anyone reaching out to me. Thanks, Benedict, for taking up and also like opening your mic and have a little bit of a discussion here. I'm really looking forward to hearing from people about this. Spread the word also. If you talk to people, let them know this is happening. And yeah, and other than that, I can only say I think that I hope you have a nice WikidataCon. I hope you learn a lot. And if you have sessions on your own, I hope they're going to be with ease and not so much nervousness. And I'm happy to end it here.